Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Great. Welcome to Embrace Live, the first version today, our first episode. Let me just see if I can get rid of this music that's playing. There we go. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Great. Welcome. There we go. So, sorry about that little delay. I just realised what the background mute was. It was actually on my phone, would you believe? Watching it live. So, I've just muted that. There we go. So, let me introduce myself first of all. My name's Dave Dixon, and I'm going to be the host tonight. And I'm from Embrace Church Darlington. Now, welcome in particular to those wonderful people who are joining us for the first time. Julie, it's great to have you with us. If you're new and tuning in, and please leave us a comment, and it'd be lovely to kind of get to know you and contact you and see how we can kind of connect and going forward. So tonight's episode, very first one, just to kind of explain that Allan and Toni Fraser will be joining us. I've got them on my other monitor just here. All primed and ready. We'll see them in a moment. We'll introduce who they are and what role do they have within Embrace Church. But I just wanted to talk a little about what is Embrace, kind of live, really. What's it all about? Where's it come from? What's the aim of it? Is it just another live stream show? And really, hopefully the answer to that is going to be no, really, because Embrace Church has been around. It's quite a young church. I don't want to steal too much of Allan and Toni's thunder here as they give us a story about how Embrace Church came about. But we lately, during lockdown, obviously, and during the pandemic, which has really altered the way a lot of things have happened in our lives, really, or happening, churches have had to find new ways to connect, as obviously we haven't been able to hold the normal kind of physical services as such. So many churches have kind of embraced, forgive the pun, sorry about that, really have kind of looked at technology to be able to spread the word and so on. So really, like many churches, we've looked to things like Zoom, where we're holding our services in Zoom, and we've been posting a lot of pre-recorded videos and things to, YouTube and Facebook and so on. Out of that, we found that we're able to connect with a lot of people who maybe actually are just curious, or just wonder what this church thing's all about, and wouldn't necessarily be able to get along to a physical kind of service as such. So really, we wanted to kind of grab hold of that and, kind of try and post and connect with people live via Facebook, via other channels as well, really. Just to kind of share topics of different kinds. So we've got lots planned coming over the number of weeks or months that we want to do this. We're giving it a whirl to see what happens. And we want it to be very much an interactive thing. So we're able to see your comments and obviously read them and so on. It's great that so many people are joining us tonight. And what we're able to do is to kind of obviously show them on screen. And we want this to be an interactive session. So we want to pause throughout at certain points. We want you, honestly, to leave comments, to ask questions that we want to put to, Allan and Toni and myself or whoever's speaking in each of the kind of the episodes, if we want to call it that, each of the shows, each week. So we do plan on holding, our live stream each Wednesday night, 8 till 9 o'clock. There'll be a variety of topics. So over the coming weeks, we're going to hear a lot of people's stories, how they've encountered God and what Jesus means to them, and, what kind of impact it's had on their lives and so on as part of the Embrace Church family, but wider than that as well. Okay, so this is much wider than Embrace Church in Darlington. It's about the church, all right? And I often say with a capital C. We're going to hear from people from all over the region on a range of topics, and really we want to respond to what you want to hear about. So again, we'd love you to connect with us. We'd love to connect with you. We'll have contact details obviously available as we go through. We'll put our web link on there. So if I just do that, you can see our website is just there. Okay, obviously you can contact us in many different ways. We're streaming live via Facebook tonight, but we do have a YouTube channel and things like that, of course. But we want to connect because we want to respond to what you want to do, all right? What you want us to cover and things like that. So hopefully that's helpful, gives you a bit of a flavour. Welcome to Mike and Philip, Hannah, Paul, Claire as well, who always tries to confuse us by having the first name Samantha, and Hannah and many others. And I can even see that Allan has given us a little bit of a high five on the comments as well. So it's great to see lots of people join us, all right? This will be available as well on our YouTube channel after this kind of episode and live stream tonight. All right. So I want to just bring in now Allan and Toni, who I can see are waiting very patiently. And have been very, very quiet, which is great. And I just want to bring them in, just to kind of let them introduce themselves. Hello, Abby. Thanks for joining us, Abby. Okay. There we are, people. We have the good people of Allan and Toni who are on screen now. Allan and Toni, can you hear us all right?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, and we can hear you, which is great. Okay. I love it. Have we still got Molly who snuck in there as well? Is Molly still on the couch with you?
Yeah. She always attends meetings, doesn't she?
Absolutely. So actually, I must admit, I'm not interested in you two. I'm just interested in Molly, really. But a founder member of Embrace Church. So I want to come back to you in a moment, really. But just as a bit of an introduction. Just introduce yourselves. I'm hoping we can work out which one's Allan and which one's Toni, because it sounds like both boys' names. That's always confuses people. Allan and Toni, go on, introduce yourselves.
I'm Toni.
Is that it? Is that the introduction? I can see that's... All right, okay. So really, I want to kind of get into, what it is that is Embrace Church. How did it come about? All right. Don't give us the complete history. What we'll do is we'll kind of interject. So I'm hoping people will ask questions. People will kind of comment as we go through. I see that Jill's joined us. Welcome, Jill. And then I want us to kind of, once we know a bit of the story of Embrace, how it's come about, it'd be great to know, if you like, what a bit the values are, what we're trying to achieve. It's not a selling job because there's only one church, and Embrace Church is a flavour of that, okay? But what's important to us as, Embrace Church, and I say us because I'm part of Embrace Church as well, all right? So just so you can see us both, there we go. I'm a bit high, bigger head, it seems, with you two, but it's great to see. So tell us a little bit about how did, I suppose, Embrace Church be birthed? How did it come about?
Should I kick off?
You kick off.
Okay, so the story actually starts back in 2012, all right? Which is way before the birthday, if you like, of Embrace itself. So back in 2012, Toni and I were part of another church in Darlington, quite a big church, part of the eldership team and whatnot there. And we were at a big Christian conference, all right, a big regional thing. And for some reason, at this particular night, I didn't end up sitting next to Toni. We were just reminiscing, weren't we? And we remembered actually we weren't sat near each other. So I'll tell you my little bit of the night, and then you can tell your little perspective of it. So, every night there was like a speaker would do a different topic, really. I think it was a week long as well, so it was quite a long week. And then this particular night, the speaker, I can't remember who he was, but he started speaking about church planting. And if I'm honest, I didn't really know what that really meant. I knew it meant like kind of starting of a church, but I literally knew no more than that. But I started listening just out of respect and interest, really. And as the conversation went on, as the speaker was speaking, I just kind of felt more and more interested in what he was saying, and more inspired. It went from being like a human interest to I just sensed God might be doing something here, like thinking, oh, okay, like maybe that could be me, maybe that could be us. But I didn't have Tony next to me to kind of get some sense from, right? I just thought maybe I've been eating a dodgy curry or something. I don't know, is this God or what? So at the end, the guy said, at the end of his talk, he did a big hurrah, big fanfare, and said, if you'd like to, if you'd be interested in planting a church and all of that, he was on the big stage and all that, come forward, come to the front, we'll pray for you. And I kind of thought, well, yeah, something was stirring, but I don't know what. But I thought, there's nothing to lose, right? What's the worst that can happen? I can get some prayer, nothing lost. So I went to the front, kind of just looking about, seeing if there's anyone I knew. I don't think there was, I don't remember that particularly. And I went to the front and got some prayer about church planting. But something in my heart had begun to get pulled by God.
It's funny, different perspectives, because I remember that church meeting, and I remember seeing Allan going to the front, and I wanted to go at the front, and I'm thinking, oh, I dare. So I looked at Allan, he was going, I'm like, oh, right, then I'm going as well. So I went to the front as well, independent of each other. I think we must have been practicing social distance before time, I think, what happened. And so it was really eye-opening. I think that was the start of God stirring. I think God had stirred before that, we just hadn't recognised it. Yeah. But the words church planting definitely came in there. Is Dave trying to speak there?
We couldn't hear you there.
Yeah, sorry, let me interrupt you, because you both mentioned kind of stirring, God kind of maybe prompting you and stuff like that. Now, I'm conscious that we may well have people who do this church thing regularly, who might kind of relate to that. But we may well have people who are actually, church is not their thing and are just a bit curious and might have even just stumbled across this live stream and wondered what this is all about. What do you mean then? What for you? What does it mean when God's stirring? In terms of how did you know that? What does that feel like? What does that look like for you?
For me, it's just like little ideas coming in my head, and before I know it, I'm playing with the ideas, and just like contemplating on stuff, just thinking through stuff that I maybe wouldn't have thought to, or catching myself like watching somebody else. I don't know, just like a stirring like that way, really, just the thought and the kind of daydream of it. How about you?
Yeah, I would say two things to that. I think that is definitely one of them, and I think in time you kind of learn to know what God's nudging you to, and if it's God or not. So it's a little bit like if I'm downstairs and I hear Tony shout to me from upstairs, Allan, bring me a coffee or something.
That happens a lot. I hear that. That happens a lot.
Yeah. So I know it's Tony. Do you know what I mean? You just, even in a crowded room, I would pick out Tony's voice. I guess it's just you grow into that over time.
Right.
And I think the second thing for me is, I think God proves that to you because you just can't get out of your head. A month, 3 months, a year later, or whatever, you're still being drawn to that thing. You can't, even if you want to put it away in the cupboard, sort of thing. Or in your back pocket, whatever. God never quite lets you leave it.
I tell you what, as well is another kind of indicator is kind of the thought of, oh no, I can't do that, because God's plans for us are much bigger than ours. And like the thought, oh no, I don't think so. But actually, in saying that, that it's probably likely that you know that that's what God's got planned for you, really. He has bigger plans than than you expected yourself.
Yeah. So you felt, I don't know, excited. You felt like, hang on, new thoughts here. You thought a bit of trepidation. I can't do that, but I think God's in this. So Allan was heading down the front. Tony wanted a bit of that action. Thought if he's going, I'm going. Yeah. So where did we go to next then? What happened then?
Where did it go?
Well, the next bit is quite funny because I wasn't aware that Tony had come down to the front.
Right.
And then someone started praying for me. I have no idea who, but they had some people at the front ready to pray for people. And, I probably closed my eyes or whatever, so I wasn't aware of anything. And then the meeting ended, and like we kind of ended up at the exit of this conference hall sort of thing, heading back to our tent, and we kind of found each other. And Tony actually said, you know, before we go back to the tent, should we have a little walk around, have a little walk and a talk, just see what we thought of tonight? So like inside, I'm thinking, oh yeah, like I was actually a little bit shy about saying, like, oh, I think God might be saying this, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, either Tony said it first or I said it first. You might remember, I can't remember. But actually, we both had a very similar kind of. It's more than a feeling. I like to use the word like a sense rather than a feeling.
Yeah.
We both had a very similar
It was
sense.
a nervousness for
Yeah.
me. I had a nervousness sense that this might be what God is saying.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Time.
Yeah.
And so speaking to Allan about it, I was a bit like, I was very like careful with my words. Maybe, what do you think of this? And there was a bit of hysteria along the way as well. Like, would God want us to do that? So.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you got from that point then of, you know, does God want us to do this? You're walking and talking, which I know you both like to do, and that seems to continue still, which is good. So, a bit of nervousness, trepidation, but feeling it's a God thing. Where did it go after that?
Right, I could fill the next bit in up to the ladies group if you want.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so
Hang on, you're going to talk about a ladies group, Alan. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm going to talk up into a ladies group, then Tony's going to take.
Right, that's
over.
a relief. That's good. Phew. Okay.
So, I think with something that was potentially quite a big thing, what we didn't want to do was rush into it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Dave, it was one of those things that we could never quite push away, but at the same time, there's some wisdom which must have come from Tony, not me, I think, in just holding on to things a little bit and seeing if other people might start to say, have you ever thought about this or whatever? And to be honest, I don't think we did anything. I don't think we even told anyone for a year, an entire year. And the following year, 2013, we were back at the conference and church planting came up again, as it tends to and as it should, actually. And again, we just got fired up again and we thought, God is definitely in this. So we started talking to other people who we loved and trusted, church friends and so on, about what we thought had happened over the last year.
Yeah.
That however much we kind of tried to put this thought out of our heads, it never did. And so for several years, actually, we started looking into, you know, how you might do it, what it involves, reading books around it, whatever, you know, like kind of if there was a conference on it, we'd maybe attend or something, that sort of thing. And that happened. That was like over several years actually, and then Tori can step in and tell you about the ladies thing.
I had like Alan and I, when we go on our walks, sometimes we have we call it dream a dream.
Yeah.
And so what dream a dream is to us is when we go walking, we have like a blank canvas, and like we just put on this canvas what we feel like God might want us to do or what we want to do, you know, where we want to go or whatever.
Yeah.
And the point of the dream a dream, there's no boundaries. So we're not thinking, we can't do that because we can't afford it. It's just get it out on there. No like problems, no boundaries, no hindrances. Just get it out. And so like church plant was one of them as well. Was one of them as well. But another one was that we were part of a bigger church. And you know, when you're part of a church, we all have different giftings, don't we? You know, we're some are similar, you know, some are very different. And sometimes it can be where people a little bit, they don't get the opportunities where other people might get opportunities. People who are kind of more in the front tend to get, it's just the way it is, just the way of the world. People more at the front can tend to get more of the opportunities. So my eye and my dream was for the people who don't get the opportunities, but actually are so talented and so skilled. They don't have the platform or the opportunity. So this went on my dream canvas. This is what. So what do I want to do? God, we want to provide this, this person here, this person there, I've been with them, I can see they've got this gift. How can they? So anyway, this is how it. So we set up a ladies group in this.
Not we, you. I'd not do it. I couldn't.
Why is it I've got like Life of Brian kind of Monty Python kind of sketch? No ladies here, kind of approach.
So we set it up, and do you know what? It was amazing because people who wouldn't normally say boo to a goose somehow found the confidence to be able to say a prayer out loud. There was a couple who actually did a talk, a full 20-minute, 30-minute talk, Embrace Ladies Group. It was
wow,
brilliant, and fulfilled what it was meant to be doing. It was successful. It worked well. But the word embrace, there was something in it. It wasn't just for that. It's still the word still had a hunger attached to it. Mm. So I'm thinking, right, God, so what is it? What is the next canvas? What is it? And I didn't get that until we went into the church planting, and then the name was straight away. It's Embrace. That's what it is, and that was like filled the next canvas.
Yeah.
How did you get? Why was it Embrace? What do you think it kind of signified? Or reflected, or?
I think my heart, our heart, actually, lots of other people's hearts, not just my heart, is for people who kind of don't have an opportunity, have a chance, have a voice, like people might call them the fringe people, but they're not
okay.
Fringe people. Right.
Yeah.
And my heart for that, our hearts for that. And I think the word embrace encompasses that. I think it just kind of the sign of it is embrace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what it kind of does what it says on the tin type of thing,
Yeah. And
it's not just for people who are in need, it's for everybody. We embrace everybody, whether you have no need, whether you have some need, if you're whatever the weather, embrace is, God wants to embrace you and actually wants to kind of dig in a bit and see what you are all about as an individual, not just as a group, just individual as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That makes sense.
So just at this point, before we go any further, I just want to say to people who are tuning in that we do, again, want to respond to your comments and questions. We've got lots of people who are saying hello, and Hannah, it seems, has internet's gone off, which is a bit of a shame, but hopefully she'll join us again. But it would be great, those who are tuning in, if you like, those who are watching this, to ask some direct questions. We didn't just want this to be pre-recorded. We could do that easily, all right? But, we want to respond to your questions, So, like, I'm chucking in questions that come to mind as Allan and Toni explain the journey. Oh, good. Hannah's back. I can see she's left a comment there. Thanks. It's good to have you back with us. So we want to kind of dig in, like you said, like you said God wants to. We want to dig into you two and ask you some tough questions. So feel free, if you're watching, please just leave us a comment, ask your question there, and I can relay it on the screen. So things like, let's see. There we go. Let me just move that a little bit. There we go. Move it down just so it looks a little bit better. There we go. So there's Hannah's best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, I think. She's back. There we go. And then obviously there's a lot of love in the room for what we're saying already. Good old Liz is saying, we love you, Allan and Toni. There we go. All right. She's such a crawler. Such a crawler.
Yeah.
All right. So you've talked about this blank canvas. You've talked about embrace. You kind of encompassing what you felt what God was calling you to do with it, whatever this church thing might look like. Where did you go to next then? Because it seems like you sat on it for quite a while, without kind of being, thinking, right, I'm going to do this. Was that because you couldn't be bothered, or was it because you forgot about it, or what?
Right. I'll tell you what, Dave. The next bit is we're going to do this bit,
all right.
Actually.
Yeah.
So what happened was probably for about 4 years, we did kind of not do nothing. As I say, we were investigating, we were talking to people, we were
Right.
attending
Okay.
sort of church and stuff or whatever. And then I'll never. There are some bits in life that I just kind of think I'll never forget those moments, right? And a couple of them are directly related to Embrace, obviously. And
Okay.
Tony and I were out walking, as we often do, and it was November 2016. Me and Tony were just saying earlier, we're not dates people. We don't remember, oh, it was March the whatever when this exact moment happened. We just, we're more like living in the now and heading into the future type people. But I remember this was November 2016.
Yeah.
And Tony said to me, so the Embrace Ladies group was in full flow now, really successful, really flourishing. Like 40, 50 ladies regularly attending, whatever, stepping out, doing loads of stuff. But at the same time, we were just sort of getting on with our regular church life. As I said, we were just part of the eldership team there and all of that, just getting on with it. And then we were walking in November 2016, and Tony turned and said to me, "Do you know what, Allan? I don't think Embrace Ladies Group is the end of Embrace, like the totality of it.
Right.
I think we need a church called Embrace."
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So my first thought was, yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I believe God's probably leading us that way. I thought it would be at least 4 or 5 years, right?
Right.
4 months. It was 4 months
Right.
later.
Okay.
Embrace was gone.
Yeah.
So I think people will understand this. I think people who, are Christians or followers of Jesus or whatever, will understand that sometimes with God, it's slow, and then there's a suddenly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might not even be slow. It can feel like nothing's happening, and then God moves.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? God
Yeah.
moves his chess piece, and it all kicks off, right? So Tony said to me, I can see us leading the church called Embrace. And I was like, yeah, thinking, I'm just on the way to Greg's. I just want my hot dog, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, yeah, one day. And then actually, yeah, vegetarian one, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
But something was still stirring inside us both, right? And then the next bit for me was on New Year's Eve, I got invited to someone's house, 2 younger Christians. And they said to me, right, and Tony knew nothing of this. I just thought it was popping out the ceiling. I didn't know why they wanted me. And he said they feel something about church planting. And on that night, I knew it was near. It's just a God sense, right? I can't put it fully into words, but I left that house. One of the guys a lot of people know well called Paul Saxton, good friend of many of us.
Yeah. Great guy.
He was driving me back home. Yeah, great guy. Driving me back home because I don't drive. So he was driving me back home, and I knew life would never be the same again, to be honest. Church life would never be the same again.
Okay.
And that was around late December, early January. So about 6 weeks after Tony had said this. So I'd gone, God had done something in my brain, right? Because I've got a Homer Simpson brain. So I need Tony and God working together to keep me on the right track.
Is that right, Tony? Is that right?
That is right.
Yeah.
And I like my Homer Simpson brain because he likes donuts. So that's good. So, but I knew then, actually, we had to do what God was asking us to do or never do it.
Yeah.
And then things moved really quickly. Do you want anything on Adam?
It kind of, a few years after the conference, certain things have been said to us, and what sticks in my mind that made it really scary and real and true was I was at a youth conference thing with our youth group at the other church, and Paul, who was the leader of Embrace at that time, was there as well. And we just went to the canteen and we were talking about what God's been saying to us and all like throwing ideas about. He says, "You never guess what, Tor," because he called me Tor. You never guess what, Tor? I said, "What?" He says, "I had this weird dream about you, like in not me. So I've been at Bongate Church with this and this and that, and I had the exact same dream, but it wasn't. I wasn't asleep.
Right. Okay.
And it was compatible, and we were like, and I could fill in his blanks, and he could fill in my blanks. What stuff that was independent of each other. It got really like spooky in a way. I'm like, whoa, you know.
Yeah.
But it was exciting because it just made it even more real. Like, this is not just in our heads, Homer Simpson head and Marge Simpson head. It's not just our heads. This is outside of our heads. You know what I mean? This is getting exciting. It's getting good.
So,
I've got a plan. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So you obviously were sat on this, so you felt stirred to it. You know, you both had your conversations about it. You said you'd talked to other people and got their input and what they had to say. And then you've kind of described it as quick, you know, almost slow, and then quick. It was in, would you say, God's timing, you know, in that sense, when he's bringing things together. It then, you know, Paul says to you, I've had a dream or something, okay? And then you kind of say, well, I've had the same dream, you know, so isn't that just a coincidence? What do you think?
No, because he had the name of the church, and I kind of said it before he said it.
Right.
And he went, no. That's why we were spooked out. Like, oh my God.
So is this Paul Saxton a psychic of some kind then? Why do you think you had the same dream?
Thankfully not. No. I mean, I only had one question. What are you two doing talking about dreams of each other? But I mean, it turned out all.
Yeah, were you concerned at this point? Yeah.
You know, but Paul's a bit bigger than me, so I just went with it.
Yeah, but we'll know he's definitely punching anyway. He'd be definitely punching. He's not in the same category, the same class as Tony. So you're safe there, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, God has a way of confirming things.
Okay.
Because you're right, Dave. You know, look, let's just be honest. We live in the real world, and I think coincidences can happen. I'm not going to be all silly about this.
Yeah.
But you know when it's not, because God will say it to you in 10 different ways. You know, if He wants you to get your attention. You know, if He wants to get your attention, and that's what was happening. And I mean, another part of the story. You see, this is how it all comes together. So, where you kind of think, all right, God. Hands up, you're doing something here.
Yeah.
Another couple, a great couple, Allan and Sue, who weren't even, I literally had never met them, right? A mutual friend came to me and said, they want to meet you in Cafe Nero. I didn't know them. They could have been anyone, right? And this is how little I knew them. I had to kind of see if she was on Facebook, or he wasn't. She was. To see who it was. You know, It was almost like, you know, I wear a daffodil in my pocket or something. And they started talking about God was doing something in them, that they saw a church in Darlington that didn't already exist.
Okay.
And I'm saying nothing to them, but inside I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is another part of the story, you know. And they joined the story as well. That's, you know, and yeah, it's just God just drew lots of strings together in a way that when you know God, it becomes irresistible. Really, you kind of, as I say, it became a now or never thing. I mean, God will have still loved us even if we choose not to do it. That's not, you know, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
But it was like, guys, I want you to do this. Are you going to do it? Yes or no? It reached that point. And so it meant leaving some stuff and changing some stuff and whatever else. But by the end of March, we had, you know, so what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of, anyway, we basically left the church we were in, and Embrace was launched in the Wheatsheaf pub.
Yeah.
The best place for a church, in my opinion. Sunday nights, middle of March, can't remember the exact date, with 18 intrepid church planters. We had no money, no backing. None of us had done it before. But we just went, and we just said, we'll open the doors, we'll see who turns up. Someone did some worship for us. You know, we just in the Wheatsheaf pub upstairs on the night.
So obviously I'm just conscious as well, like we said before, we might have some people who don't do this church thing at all. or maybe just every now and again
Yeah.
for the usual christenings and weddings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
4
weddings and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're pretty convinced this was a God thing you asking you to do. You were stepping out. You said you had no money.
Yeah.
You said there was some people who came along with you. Hang on a minute. You said it's a church. What's it? Why a pub? What's it doing in a pub? Isn't a church a building?
Do you want to answer?
No.
I think a church is helpful if it has a building, right? So a friend of ours who I think's got a question on the screen actually, called Philip, he likes to play golf. Right?
Hey, I'm the host here. I'm going to say the questions. All right. No, go on and you. Go on.
So when he plays, no, just so people knew what I meant. So when he plays golf, he goes to a place where there is golf and you can do it, right? So, it was March, the British weather, not going to be brilliant necessarily, so we wanted somewhere indoors.
Yeah.
But the church whoever turned up was the church. The people the people who believe at a church, and those who were just looking are more than welcome to come and join in with us. And yeah, to me any building's great, and I loved it in the pub. We all went down afterwards, had a pint or a glass of Coke and some peanuts, and continued to chat. It was just
it was nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Social. Yeah.
It was lovely.
So just obviously a little bit of feedback there from Liz, who just says, "Praise God, you had the faith to step out." It sounds like a big decision, to kind of do this. All right, so we're at the Wheatsheaf pub. You said that as part of that, somebody did some worship. What does that mean? Did some worship? What do we mean by that?
Played some Christian songs.
All right.
Sang to them.
Yeah.
That's our version of that's our worship.
Okay, was that all like happy clappy stuff with a tambourine and ribbons and that kind of stuff? Is that what kind of church
It wasn't
is?
exactly, but it would have been welcome, but it wasn't exactly no.
All right, okay.
It was one man and his guitar, wasn't it?
One man and his guitar.
One man and his guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we like ribbons and guitars.
Yeah,
and tambourines. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, triangle.
So there's always room for a tambourine with some ribbons.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's your role in the worship team then from now on. Okay.
I found my role.
So Wheatsheaf, you've been in the pub. Did you go anywhere next after that?
I can't remember now.
Yeah, well, this was the story, the very significant dream that Toni had that she's just said I can't remember now. Was,
okay.
We always felt called to start in the centre of Darlington, or to be in the centre of Darlington. We felt
right.
Dave. I just want to backtrack a second. God is a God who, although He's all powerful and all of that, He's also very real, and He's kind of down to earth. I mean, Jesus literally came down to earth, didn't He? And I'm just laughing at Jill's comment about, I'll get my ribbons out.
Yeah, we've got a bit of excitement now.
But, and we we like down to earth, right? And we just wanted to be in the town centre so that anyone in Darlington could get to us with one bus ride.
Okay.
At the most, one bus ride, because not everyone drives and not everyone, has good mobility, whatever. So we wanted to be in the centre of town if possible.
Yeah.
It's just very practical, very down to earth. And after a few months, I won't tell the whole story for time, but an opportunity came for us to we were so glad of it, to share the building that Bongate Methodist Church were using.
Which is the building Paul and I dreamt about.
Had an independent dream about.
Okay. Yeah.
And we just knew we were going to be in there for a while. We just knew.
And so
and that was great. And that's when, go on, yeah.
I was just going to say that came about then. The dream came true.
It came to pass, as they say.
It came to pass.
And it was manic. It was manic trying to get everything sorted out, and we had to learn things really quickly, and we had to make lots of mistakes along the way to learn from.
Okay.
But worth it. Very, very manic, but worth it.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very busy. I mean, I'm sure as you can imagine, I mean, the first night we had 18 people, and I always crack this little joke that, we must have been great at telling our story because by the third night we had 16 people. We kind of grew from there, really.
That's great.
It's all hands to the pump, really. And I mean, we were getting there, and we were just doing everything between us all, weren't we?
We spent 6 hours on a Saturday trying to work out the PA.
Yeah.
6 hours.
Yeah.
We didn't have a clue. We were YouTubing it. We were like ringing friends and like, oh, I can't come over and I can't explain to you on the phone. And we were riding our hair out thinking, church is tomorrow. What we're going to do? We're just going to have to sing to them.
But we got there.
Yeah. It was fun.
6 hours of sandwiches and.
It was stressful. It was so stressful, but it was worth it. It was worth it. You laugh about it now.
Yeah. But I mean, we were like, everything just had to be done. I mean, this story, Dave. You know what it's like. It's every chair, every coffee, every table, every bit of equipment, just everything we were trying to do, and then trying to be super spiritual, like church leaders. But actually, it was just put the chairs out on it, really.
You felt a sense that you had to know everything about the building. So if something wasn't working, the light, they'd say, the light isn't working. I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't like me to do something. I have no idea what to do about the light. I don't know where the light is. I don't know. So you become everything to everyone, don't you? Like you have to take on the role of, it feels like everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that that comment from Mike there, but he's just wondering what a PA is. Are you personal assistant?
Well, I nearly said there, the funny thing was, I nearly said we were learning how to do the PA, and I'm not even sure I knew what PA actually stood for. I just knew it was lots of wires and speakers and things that made someone's guitar come out of a speaker and words on a screen. But literally it was like...
that sounds like...
fun, but
that sounds like an awful lot of work and quite stressful and, that kind of thing. Was it that kind of experience?
It was. Sorry, I'm
No, go on.
It was stressful, but when you get a bee in your bonnet because God asked you to do something, or even if God hasn't asked you to do something, you get a bee in your bonnet, you'll do it, won't you? It's a bit like that. You'll do it because it's the right thing to do, because you want to do it, because it's the right thing. It was a bit like, for me, it was a bit like that. God's put this on my heart. I want to do it, and so we did it. But that's not to say it wasn't stressful. It was.
Yeah.
It was stressful, but there was a great outcome. So it's fine.
Yeah, and you have to look at the outcomes sometimes. When it's like Sunday morning at stupid o'clock in the morning, and you're getting up early, when actually you're just thinking I could just do with another 2 hours in bed.
Yeah.
Because we were both like, working normal jobs by then as well and stuff. But you think, all right, am I going to do it or not? Are we going to do this great adventure or not? Because it is a great adventure. But you ask anyone, and as we hear stories over the coming weeks on Embrace Live, every great adventure goes hand in hand with a lot of hard work. But that's what else you can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think God has an element of, oh heck, when He asks us to do something. Because when we kind of got prayed out, we hadn't had a start date for Embrace. We knew it was soon, like next week, 2 weeks. But people at the end, you go for your coffee at the end, people were saying, oh, so when you're starting, and it just fell out of our mouth, oh, tonight. Now we never spoke to any other team. So it just ended up that night and every other week after that. It wasn't like a big, let's have a big launch. It was just like, oh, we're meeting tonight.
Let's do it. Let's just meet tonight and do it. Yeah. Okay.
We just did it. And it's been going ever since, so it can't be all bad.
So we have got some questions which I want to come to in a moment, and thank you for those people who have kind of put them on screen and commented. And we'll put Allan and Toni on the spot in a moment with those. Stop trying to sneak a peek and prepare your answers that you both do, and I can see you doing that on the screen. So we're at Bondgate at this point. Is the church still at Bondgate? Is Embrace still at Bondgate? No. What's happening?
No.
It's moved.
Yeah, it's moved.
Oh, well, that was a short and simple answer. Thank you for that. That's informative.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what, Dave? I talked earlier about God being very down to earth and very real, as well as this great, awesome God.
Yeah.
He's kind of in you every day. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes he just will use circumstances to bring about very normal, worldly, quite mundane circumstances to bring about what he wants to do. And we always felt as a church to not be too churchy, to put it really in one way,
All right.
because it's just not us, just to be ourselves. We want people who come to be themselves.
Yeah.
And whether that's people who wear their Sunday best or people who haven't got a Sunday best, just come as you are, yeah, so we
okay. Oh, onesies.
Yeah. Basically,
you heard it here, folks. Wear your onesie to Embrace Church. Come on.
Every week.
Every week.
Yeah, we were there a couple of years, and during that time, the church grew in numbers and things. But the time came when, it was just the right time to move on, and we were looking at possible venues, and God really gave us a venue, actually, a fantastic venue, which is managed by Darlington Operatic Society, just off Eastmount Road.
Yeah.
Very modern building. Doesn't look like a church on the outside, which we quite like that. Just a great building, plenty of car park and all of that. Again, just very real, very practical sort of stuff. And the moment we went, I think we just had a sense of, yeah, this is the building. This is where we're going to end up. Again, It's one of those kind of, just a gentle God moment of thinking, yeah, I think this is where we'll end up.
Yeah.
And that's where we are at the moment.
All right.
Well, we haven't been in there for a year because of lockdown, obviously, but we are going back. 1st of July, we believe, we hope.
So July, all being well, we'll be back in there.
All right.
Yeah. So that'll be on a Sunday. What time?
10:30.
Yeah.
Come a bit earlier, get some coffee and a donut and cake and breakfast and chat and whatever else. So get there, well, no later than 10:25, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll give that, obviously, a plug over the coming weeks, because it'd be great to have people joining us if you're interested. Even if you're not interested and you just want something to do on a Sunday morning, come and join us. We'd love to meet you. Connect with us on here. We'd love to tell you more about it, and it'd be lovely to meet you in person. When we're allowed to do that safely. Obviously, as a church, we're thinking very carefully about people's safety, and we want to do obviously be guided by government and do everything as safe as we can. And obviously, we take that very seriously. I haven't asked you this question, but we might have gathered this from your story. So, Allan and Toni, what is your role in Embrace Church? What do you do?
I look at the wife to see who's going to answer. But it always works like this. I give my answer, and then Toni kind of chips in with the correct version, really.
Yeah.
So we're part of the leadership team. There's this other strange guy who's part of this team called Dave Dixon.
Yeah, I've heard of him, yeah.
But he's all right, really.
Yeah.
It's a good job he's got his wife back, to keep him right.
Absolutely.
But, so we're part of that leadership team. So, yeah, that's what
we
do.
So you help
doing everything.
You help lead the church and the kind of direction the church is going and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, vision really. Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah. Well, that's good, because that leads us into some of these questions that I'm looking on my other monitor here. That's why I'm kind of doing that. And Philip, who's we mentioned Mr. Golfer earlier on. He's one of these guys who's very talented golfer, and he's also very talented in lots of different areas. And we're going to hear from Philip in another week or so, another episode on a Wednesday. So we're looking forward to that. But he's got a great question. Let me just put it on the screen for you to see. What's your heart's dreams or plans for Embrace out of lockdown?
That's a good question, isn't it? Mm. You can go first, and I'll think of the answer.
Yeah. Well, I think. At its heart, Dave, we have three key things, really, right? and people might have seen this associated with Embrace. It's know, grow, go.
Okay.
It's dead simple. We want people to know Jesus, because a lot of people don't know him, or they think they have an image of him. What he like. I just used to think I didn't think he existed. Then I found out, one, he did, and two, he's a pretty good guy, right? So we want people to know who Jesus really is.
Yeah.
Then as people choose to follow him, we want people to grow in that, to grow in their walk, their getting the Christian walk. And then we want people to go and tell others so that others can know.
Yeah.
So we've always been a know, grow, go sort of thing. How we do that can be different. And I think one of the big things coming out of lockdown is what we're actually seeing tonight. I think, so I just want to say well done to you, Dave, for really getting this together, because I think something God is doing is waking
Thank you.
people up. That church doesn't have to be a stuffy old building, sitting on pews made in the 18th century, singing songs written in the 17th century. It doesn't have to be that anymore. If people like that style of church, that's fine.
Yeah, that's
but
important.
That's not the only kind of church.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is, I love hymns from the 17th century. Don't hear me wrong. Do you know what I mean? But that's not only church now. And we just want to be a great church of New Testament values. Like the original church. And for those who are really into it, you can read it in the Book of Acts. You know what the early church was like. We want to be like that. And they did it. They did it in houses. They got together where they could, maybe even the Wheat Cheese pub, but this is one of the things we want to embrace. We want to embrace this online community that lockdown has forced us to do quicker than we might have done otherwise.
Okay, yeah.
I was speaking to my spiritual mum today, and she, with her husband, leads a church in Winchester. And she was saying that they are providing kind of support for people who've had stuff happen within, like the coronavirus pandemic, like the year and a half, like people in her church, it's a much, much bigger church. We're talking hundreds, like people have had divorces, people have gone through illnesses, deaths, all through like the pandemic period. So she's saying that her church is kind of setting up stuff to help people kind of come to terms with that and kind of empower people, be there for people. And I'd never thought of that. What I was thinking of is like, yes, get back to church, be normal, not really thinking too much about other stuff. So it's great how God uses people, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it kind of gave me into it. So the answer to the question, I'd like just to be part of that support for people if I can. You know, I'm maybe support myself, but just to be able to see where there's a need and be able to help a person.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Another question. This is from Hannah. Let me post it on there. It's quite a long one. So, as we embrace everyone, what is Embrace's vision for young family and teens? What is God saying around this area for you guys personally? What do you think?
Well, God is on the go for this, and he's kind of given us blank canvases again about it, so we know that he's on it, isn't it? So as a leadership team, I think I'm quite confident to say we're looking into like younger people to be able to give us a bit of direction in their culture, their kind of genre of doing things and stuff like that. I'm going to hand it to you actually, if that's all right.
Yeah, no, I think that sums it up well, though. I feel God has got his hand on this and Embrace. And you know what, Dave? I don't think I know I only look 23, but I'm 50.
Yeah, that's right. You do, yeah.
I don't think I'm the best placed person to know what the teens and young families and whatnot can be best served. Now, I tell you what I can do. I can always put in good biblical content for the teens and young families. I can do that, right? But how they live that out and so on, actually, we need the teens and young families to actually be equipped and rise up and kind of start to take ownership of that themselves, and I think it's just so good that Hannah's asked that question because, Hannah, you're part of the answer, actually, so it's almost like we could turn the question around and say, we can help you, but you need to tell us, you need to lead us in this, you need to lead us in this.
Yeah. And then just, one last question. This one's from Liz. I love this. I think Liz sees this more of like a job interview. But the usual kind of standard question in the job interview, where do you see Embrace in 5 years' time? What's your 5-year plan? That stumped you.
Well, I think, Dave, when I talked at the very start about wanting something in the town centre so people could reach it easily.
Yeah.
And actually, in a sense, our heart has always been to almost like embrace to be known as, we're just around the corner. So I see that like there may be like lots of smaller embraces, if you like, all over the Darlington and the Tees Valley and the world. Not just that small dream, but no, seriously, like where people live life together. And again, going back to Acts, the first church, that's what they did. They were in community together. They lived near each other. They obviously worked near each other. They were probably fishermen together and farmers, and they did life and church together. And that's probably a dream. I think we've seen little glimpses of that, actually. We've had expressions of embrace in other parts of town already, actually. And I think we will kind of continue to build those kind of things. So people in the north of Darlington, they might meet centrally, we might all meet together once a month or whatever, but they'll be doing life and church together in the north. And let's have some people doing life and church together who live in Spennymoor or in the Tees Valley and wherever, and we can all get together.
Yeah.
But church, I think you said it, Dave, church isn't something we go to, it's something we are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mike's just put on there, we're going to need a bigger boat. I think, Mike, we're going to need lots of smaller boats and a bigger boat, actually, is the answer to that.
Yeah.
But you're right. So, I mean, it's not that embrace is it, Dave, right? We want people to know God, know He's good, to grow in that relationship with Him, and live that life together as people, family together.
Absolutely.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's our 5-year dream.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's been wonderful to just kind of spend this last hour. It's gone really quickly. And, I think that's what you said has been really well received. Obviously, there's a big amen from Mike there, and many others as well. I think it's fair to say that if you're watching this either live now or, again, a replay at any point, feel free to comment on the video. Feel free to kind of ask a question, get in touch, because I'm sure Allan and Toni would be more than happy to get in touch with people. We'd love to connect with you wherever you are, and hopefully in the future we can see you in person as kind of lockdown eases and as kind of hopefully things get back to the new normal and so on. But just thank you. I just want to say, thank you for all that you've done tonight, but all that you've done so far in the story. And, really thank you for that. That story isn't finished. God's doing amazing stuff, and Embrace Church is on a journey as part of His wider church, because like we said, there's only one church, and that's His. And so we're, lots of us, including myself, are really thankful that we get to do this church thing with you two, because we think you're amazing. So thank you for all that you do. That's definitely a whoop whoop from Liz. So next week we're going to finish there, but next week we're going to get to hear your own bit more of your own personal stories, aren't we? Okay, because you've talked with us about tonight about how Embrace Church came about, and you felt it was God, but actually, how did you get to that point in your own lives where you thought, I need this God person, this Jesus bloke, and when it becomes real for you, and how did you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that's next week. If Allan and Toni are going to be there again. I'm going to host for that one. It'd be great if you could join us online. Let me just kind of go to here. And just to say, let me just put some of these on these lower thirds, that obviously feel free to get in touch with us via our channels. We are on YouTube and things like that. Okay, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. If you can go to obviously the website and so on. Okay. I love this little comment. Let me just go back to here from Philip, who's got a great sense of humour. Philip wants a signed photo. Toni and Allan, can you manage a signed photo?
Well, yes, but we do charge, obviously.
You do charge, okay. All right, okay. That's totally understandable. The absolute highlight for me has been Molly's relaxed approach to this live streaming episode. And just to kind of finish off, really, just to say thank you. Thanks for joining us at Embrace Live. This is the first one. We, again, want to just tailor things to what you're going to find useful. Thank you to everybody who has joined in online and watched this. And just to finish, Allan said, as part of where Embrace Church is going, what the vision is, it's a know, grow, and go church. And we're going to unpick that a little bit more. But just to kind of finish off tonight, here we go.